Hello and welcome back to another episode. I am Sandra. As I always say, if this is your first time here, I do hope you will consider subscribing to my channel. Do not forget to like this video and share it. Thank you so much as you do that. Now let's get into today's video. I did a video on Giorgia Meloni. It was right after or during the elections in 2022. She won the elections and she became the very first female prime minister in the history of the country. But she wasn't very much liked, especially by the left. Number one, she was a woman. And number two, I guess she committed the cardinal sin of being a conservative, because apparently you cannot be a woman and a conservative.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Yeah, you heard right. So apparently you cannot be black and conservative. Here's some of the promises she made and some of the things that she ran on. Number one, she promised to make Italy great again, so to speak. More things used to be made in the country. She actually ran on wanting Italy to be recognized, not just for the food and fashion, which we're very proud of, but also just things that are made in Italy. Number two, she said she was going to replace this thing we call the reddito di cittadinanza. I'm going to explain that in a second. Third, she said she was going to improve, in general, the living conditions of Italians. When people are running for office and they say, we want to make life better for Italians, that is fantastic. I want to make something clear because in my mind, I think that these politicians also think about the non-Italians living legally in Italy. Okay, so I wanted to make that very clear. Anyways, number four on the list, she said that she was going to make it possible for women to be mothers and also career oriented. In other words, she wanted to fight for women's rights to be moms and also have a career, which I think is fabulous. Even though I think that sometimes it's like a double-edged sword, right? It depends on the career path you're choosing, right? It's like, oh, I want to be a medical doctor, where I have 18-hour shift and I want to be a mom. One thing has to give. You cannot fully dedicate your time to, your children if you're also a medical doctor who's actually practicing. So this is fabulous, but I guess it's gonna work for moms who who have jobs that actually permit them to be moms as well. Otherwise, it's you going to work and a babysitter taking care of your kids. I don't know, you pick. Anyways, number five, I believe. Yeah, number five, she said she was going to continue to support Ukraine. Number six, she said that she was going to criminalize couples who go abroad to have a baby via surrogacy, because surrogacy in Italy is illegal. The last thing, again, she ran on so many things, but these are the main points. The last one was illegal immigration. All right, before we even get into this, I think it's absolutely fundamental. I keep doing this every single time I talk about immigration because I think it's so important. People tend to forget, or better still, deliberately forget that there is a gigantic difference between legal immigration and illegal immigration. Please. And there is a separate category called refugee status, asylum seekers, okay? So legal immigration is when you have your documentations, you go to the embassy of that country you want to migrate into, to the embassy in your country, your home country. You present your papers. Are you going there to study? Do you want to look for a job? Are you reuniting with a family member? Are you getting married to that person? You have your papers and then you're granted a visa, a state permit, whatever. That is the legal process, right? Okay. The illegal one is when you come into the country illegally, you don't have the papers, right? It's difficult to come into Italy without papers illegally, unless you claim the refugee status. So, because we have the Mediterranean Sea, right? So it's not like Mexico and America. And the refugee status is when you come to the country, you state that you're a refugee because you're fleeing war, persecution for your beliefs, religious beliefs, or sexual orientation, you name it. Because when I hear people talk on the news about immigration, it's like, why are Italians so anti-immigration? Well, honey, that's not the point. They're not anti-immigration. Get your facts straight, please. Just for people to be well, educated about this issue. It's important that you make it very clear. Those are the main things. So before the elections that took place in September of 2022, Meloni's party, called the Brothers of Italy, Fratelli d'Italia, and the entire center-right coalition actually came together. Got Lega, the League, Forza Italia, Go Italy, and Noi Moderati, in other words, the moderate, yeah. Okay, so they made a list. They compiled the goals for the country. I'm gonna link it in the description box. So the question is, since she became the prime minister in 2022, October of 2022, what has she done? Let's go through some of the things. The first thing she said she was gonna do was to put Italy in the world stage, bring back made in Italy product and things like that. And I can report, at least at the recording of this video, that not a lot has been seen on that front. That is not to say that she's not going to work on it, like she's not working on it. I'm just saying that right now, I don't have any concrete evidence stating that she's actually put forth bills pointing towards doing that or making that a reality, okay? Number two, we talked about this reddito di cittadinanza, which was basically, it was a bill that was passed in 2019 by the Conte administration. That was right around COVID. So it was a way, obviously, of combating, poverty, because Italy was like, it was a mess. Just no one was working because everything was closed. Like the economy was literally rubbish. And so this was like an incentive to actually help families and individuals out during this very dire moment that we had. And so the problem with that was people just took advantage of the system. So she vowed to replace it, and she did. So she substituted this bill with the social inclusion allowance. It is different because the requirements were more specific. So for example, at least a member of your family had to be a minor. Someone in your family had to be at least over 60 or disabled. She also replaced it. She replaced the reddito di cittadinanza with two different bills. The first one that I mentioned was the social inclusion allowance, and the second one was support for training and work. This one I found actually more, I guess, useful, because she was actually putting money into different organizations that will teach people things that you can actually use. Let's say you want to learn how to make hair, you can get in a program and you can learn how to make hair for free. Who knows? And that can actually be a business that you one day open. All right, so did she do what she said she was going to do by replacing the reddito di cittadinanza? Absolutely, yes, she did that. Okay, now moving on to number three. She said that she was going to improve the conditions of Italians. The administration's first budget law was in favor of families and businesses to cope with the energy crisis. So yes, she has started to do something. The introduction of new incentives for the recruitment of workers, including women and young people, was actually put into place. And also, according to Istat, which is like Italian National Institute of Statistics, which is also the primary source of data. Like if you're looking for any official statistics, that is where you go to. You can count on it. So according to Istat, the number of people looking for work compared to February of 2023 has decreased by 1.1%. This is Italy's lowest number of unemployment since 2009. So on that front, we can all agree that yes, something has been done. And since taking office, over 523,000 people have been employed. The total unemployment rate has dropped to 7.8%. Let's talk about the salary though. If you live in Italy, you know that the salary is not great. But the good thing is that the living cost is also low, so it kind of compensates. If you think about, I don't know, Switzerland, where your average salary is 6,000 euros per month, and in Luxembourg is around 5,000. In Germany, I think it's around 4,000. In Italy, we're talking about like an average of 2,000 euros. But again, you can live off of it if you're living with your parents or you're married. Like you can combine your income. The salary is not great, but also the living cost is kind of, it compensates pretty much. And then moving on to point 4, where she said that she was going to give women the choice to have children and also have a career. Little has been done. Honestly, I could not find anything. There is not a bill out yet. So I think it's safe to say nothing has been done on that front for now. All right. And on point 5, Italy has continued to support Ukraine since the beginning of the war between Ukraine and Russia. Italy has sent 6 packages of weapon and military equipment to Ukraine, 5 of which were sent by the previous administration, the Draghi administration, and just 1 has been sent by Meloni's administration. It isn't clear how much these packages, like, you know, the cost in euros, but according to some speculations by some media outlets, it is around 100 to 150 million euros. All right, moving to point 6 about surrogacy. So again, I mentioned before that surrogacy is illegal in Italy. You can be jailed and also pay a fine of up to €1 million. The Italian parliament is currently, however, discussing a bill of law which proposes to declare surrogacy abroad by Italian couples a universal crime. Apart from the fact that a lot of people, like lawmakers in Italy, are saying that that is absolutely impossible, because first and foremost, if I go to America to, you know, have another woman carry my child, in America it's legal. The problem is when I come to Italy, he or she's not even going to be recognized as an Italian citizen. So that's a thing. Now, if this bill is voted on and passed, Italian citizens who go to countries where it is legal would risk jail time and also a fine, like I mentioned before. At a first glance, a lot of people might say, well, this is obviously a homophobic bill. It's definitely set up to discriminate against homosexuals. The reality, unfortunately, is different, because nowhere in that bill does it say homosexuals, same-sex couples. It says Italian. So if you're an Italian, regardless of your sexual orientation, your religion, you go out of the country and get a surrogate to carry your child, you are liable. Now, if you rephrase and say this bill is going to affect predominantly same-sex couples, because biologically speaking, they are the only people in this group that cannot have children naturally, then you would be right. But to say that it is targeted at same-sex couples is just factually incorrect. All right, so to the main point of all, immigration, so important. Like I said, since the beginning of 2023, there has been a massive influx of migrants, both by land and by sea. According to the data we have, about 90,000 people, irregular arrivals, have been recorded, more than double the number of last year, which has led to an increase of 71% in asylum applications. All right, so a lot of people are disappointed, because it's like Giorgia Meloni ran on the fact that she was going to limit illegal immigration, specifically emphasizing the fact that these people are victims. She ran on fighting for these victims. And now we see that the number is actually doubled. However, I do want to say that Meloni actually expressed the intention to create a naval blockade to stop the arrival of migrants on the Italian coast. This blockade would have resumed the initial proposal of the Sofia naval mission of the European Union to block departures of boats from North America, but it never went into effect. On the other hand, though, there is a new program, a positive thing in my opinion, in place, that it's called Decreto Flussi, which basically provides for the admission of 452,000 foreign workers to Italy for the next 3 years. So from 2023 through 2025, up until 452,000, foreign workers can migrate to Italy for a short period of time, for a longer period of time. It depends on what exactly they want to come to. If it's work or school, they have that opportunity. That is all for now. Again, like I said, she still has 4 more years, so it's not all done. There is still hope. However, I personally have my views. I do like Giorgia Meloni. I think she's a boss. I do have to say that I've got qualms with her. She pays so much attention on things that I consider irrelevant. For example, who talks about an athlete that had a child? What has that got to do with national security and the economic situation of the country right now? I mean, why do we care, like, on a national level that our prime minister would actually take time off of doing the job of being the prime minister and, like, you know, Instagramming about that? Like, dude, no, don't be talking about this crap on Instagram. Like, you are the prime minister. All right, people, that's all I have to say as it pertains to what Giorgia Meloni has done in the year that she's been in office. If you have anything to say about that, share your thoughts in the comment section. Do not forget to like this video, share it, and obviously subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that. Okay, you guys, I will see you all in the next video. Have a fantastic day. Bye.